All right, we're ready to go. This is day one, the advanced portion of the AI divide. This talk is around why 80% of AI investment produces nothing and what the other 20% do differently. In the essentials lesson, you learn the difference between using AI as a muse and using it as an oracle. Now, here's what that distinction looks like at an organizational level. Your company's been running AI pilots for 2 years. The demos work, the talk's impressive, leadership signed off, but nothing reaches production. Nothing's delivering results. The gap between what AI could do for your organization and what your organization is actually doing is not closing, it's getting wider. That gap has a name, the AI divide, and it's compounding every quarter you don't close it. Most organizations respond to this gap by running more pilots, more experiments, more proofs of concept, more demos. That is exactly the wrong response. The organizations winning with AI are not running more experiments. They're running fewer and finishing them. The problem is not the quantity of pilots. It's that pilots are not connected to a defined business project. It's about changing from a mindset of let's do it, let's give it a try, to let's get it done. That, my friends, is a production mindset. Let me tell you about the 10-20-70 rule. The most consistent finding across high-performing AI organizations is how they allocate resources. 10% goes to algorithms and models, 20% goes to data and technical infrastructure, 70% goes to people, process, redesign, and culture. Most companies do the opposite. 70% on tech, 30% on the rest. This inversion produces something called pilot purgatory. It follows a predictable loop. A team launches a promising proof of concept. They prove that AI works in a narrow controlled setting. They hit organizational friction, questions of ownership, data access, risk, or the boss just doesn't like it. They park the use case. They start a new pilot to maintain the appearance of progress. They repeat. Each cycle of this loop accumulates AI debt, a backlog of hopes and wasted money. The loop doesn't resolve itself. It only breaks when the pilot is connected to a defined objective with a named owner and production pathway. There is a way out of the pilot purgatory. The solution is built on 3 things: clear problem definition, clear objectives, and a systems view. Let's talk about problem definition. This is where things go wrong most often. If you're working on the wrong problems or weakly defined problems, you get the wrong solutions. Who gets ahead today is not the person who knows the most, it's the person who asks the best question. We need to know what to ask, what to test, what not to trust. There's an old expression I love. It's the Renaissance man. In the past, that was the person with answers to all the questions. They were valued for their ability to store information. Today, answers are easy. It just made the cost of skipping the question more expensive. In the age of AI, the real advantage is asking better questions. In the past, the Renaissance man was the person with the answers. For centuries, that made sense. Today, answers are easy to find. The Renaissance man today is the one who defines the problem, asks the right questions, and applies it fast. Einstein famously said if he had 1 hour to solve a problem and his life depended on it, he'd spend 55 minutes on the question, 5 minutes on the solution. He said, frankly, the answer is the easy part. The question is where the work lives. I'm not here, not Einstein, and neither am I. So let me set the bar lower for just a minute. 55 minutes is a long time to spend on a question. How about if we swap the numbers? Can you remember the last time you spent 5 whole minutes working on a question before going to your phone, Google, or AI? Most people can't. That time will help you define the right problem. Second in the list is clear objectives. They're a way to turn problems into results. When objectives are clear, you know if you're doing the right thing or the wrong things. Decision scientists have a name for the most common error in organizations. It's called a type 3 error, solving the wrong problem correctly. This is the most common error we make using AI. Think about a company whose sales are falling. The marketing team opens AI and asks it to build a campaign. The AI delivers positioning, messaging, channels, budget, 65 different LinkedIn posts, all of it polished, persuasive, perfect. But what if the real problem is the product? What if customers are not failing to find it? They're finding it and deciding against it. The marketing plan was brilliant for a product that will never sell. That's a type 3 error. The tool didn't fail, the question did. And it happens before anyone has thought to ask, are we solving the right problem? Russell Ackoff, one of the founders of systems thinking, put it simply, the more efficiently you solve the wrong problem, the worse it gets. This reminds me of a conversation I had with my son. I've chosen this example because it matters as much to me as any board level decision I've worked on. He was looking for a new job, his first job. I was in what you'll call solution mode. I said, let's get started. We'll print your CVs, get you a job quickly. He looked at me and he said, Dad, you're not hearing me. That stopped me. For the first time in that conversation, I actually listened. And then he said something that surprised me. I want to take care of kids. He didn't want to stay local. He didn't want just any job. He wanted to work with kids and see the world. So we slowed down. Instead of rushing to the nearest solution, we explored what he actually meant. Eventually, we found something unexpected, an au pair position in Australia. That turned out to be exactly right for him. Australia was the beginning. He went on to New Zealand, US, Mexico, Jamaica, Croatia. He's living in Portugal now. He started his world travels that day in my kitchen. That day I stopped and listened instead of solving. But speed was the enemy of getting the right direction. If that conversation happened today, we could have opened AI, generated hundreds of job applications, sent them out in minutes, faster, in the wrong direction. The marketing team had a sales problem. I had a son looking for a job. If we didn't define what the real problem was, the real objective was, we got the correct execution, but the wrong solution. The pause, thinking about the question first, was the only thing that prevented it. The answer was there. We just had to stop long enough to define what we really wanted. The solution is to think first. The next level of making things work is a systems view. When you add AI to your system, we need to make sure it doesn't cause other things to break. Edward Deming famously showed that 94% of defects come from the system, not the people. When things go wrong, it's management, it's planning, it's not people. The solution is simple. One question, one objective. Then we ask, what do we need the system to do? There is something important to talk about when we talk about AI, and that is AI is trained on everything that has already happened. It's extraordinarily good at recombining the past, but it can't dream forward. It has no access to what never existed, the question no one has asked, the frame no one has tried, the problem defined to a better challenge followed by a clear objective in the system. That is your job. AI can't go without you. So what do we do? It's pretty simple. Think before using AI. 3 steps. That's all you need to remember. First, a pause. Before you reach for an answer, create space, even just a few minutes. Think about what you want to do. Second, frame. Write the problem down that you're trying to solve. Then rewrite it. Look if there's something in the framing that determines how you solve it. This is where judgment forms. Third, ask. Bring in AI, bring in expertise, but use it to augment your thinking, not to replace it. Now, if you want to learn more about this, I got a few links for you. I have in my book, Cycles in Generative Organization, 2 chapters on problem definition. I have a draft video or a talk I did in Rabat, which is about what is the one thing to teach. Actually, no, it's not Rabat, it's Salford in Manchester. What is the one thing to teach if you teach one thing? Hint, it's defining problems. And lastly, we have the notebook element. Now, what I'd like you to do is try to use your thinking hat. Think first to find a solution to a challenge you're working. We have what I'll call is the non-obvious process. This is done in 3 steps. Write down the situation, what you're trying to solve, and the obvious solutions. Then, with the help of AI, define a new one-sentence objective, then ask for solutions. You'll find this gives you an interesting perspective, challenge you might have been evading for a while. We'll see you tomorrow when we talk about expertise. Hi, I wanted to let you know there are demos for almost all the What Now exercises. They're simple, easy to follow. Here's how you get to them. Log into the website, go to the lesson, scroll down to exercise, select demo next to the exercise. You've got it.